Hi guys, thanks for joining me on Making with Marilyn. On today's video, I'm going to be making some Valentine earrings. And one thing that's different about the earrings tonight is I'm actually going to have the Cricut maker cut the holes in them as opposed to punching them myself like I usually do. I had a subscriber ask me why I preferred to punch the holes myself. And when I really thought about it, I didn't have a good reason other than that's the way I've always done it. So I think I can cut out a step and have the Cricut do it. So that's what I'm going to try tonight. If it's not real successful, I'll go back to my old way, but I sure want to try it. So to make these earrings, I'm going to bring into Cricut Design Space a heart that I uploaded yesterday. And it's this heart right here with the puppy paw prints. So I'll click Insert Image. Now, I don't want the paw prints. All I want is for a solid heart cut out of this. So it's selected. I go over to Contour, click on Contour, and I'm going to say Hide All Contours. And that will hide, don't know if I can move this over, no. That'll hide all of the interior cuts, and all I'm left with is this one right here, and that's what I want. So I'll go ahead and close out of the Contour function. Now, I don't want my earring to hang like that. I want my earring to hang more like this. So my hook will be up here, and it'll hang something like that. When you put the fish hook in it, then the weight of all this is going to determine exactly how it hangs, but it'll hang something like that. Now, in addition to having the heart shape, I want to cut out the same shape of heart from the leather right over here. So I'm going to duplicate this heart. I'll go ahead and change the color so that I can see it better. And then I want to make the cutout about a ½ inch tall. So let me put this over here and see if I like the proportions of that. I'm going to go just a little bit bigger. I'll do 0.6. Okay, that looks pretty good. And I want it somewhere up here in this, I don't know if that's called a lobe, but I'm going to call it a lobe. You know, I could put it anywhere I want it. I could put it down there. I don't really like that. I kind of like this offset look of putting it right over here. Let me center it a little bit more between the top and bottom of that lobe. Okay, I'm going to go with that. So what I'm going to do now is select both of those shapes and slice. There. So the slice function acts kind of like a cookie cutter. And the red is my cookie cutter. I'm going to get rid of my cookie cutter, so we'll get rid of it. And then the black under it is the cookie that I'm slicing out with my cookie cutter. And that's the dough that's left around it. I don't know how to explain it any better than that. I heard it somewhat explained like that in a video. I kind of like that. Otherwise, let me go back a couple of steps. Otherwise, what I could have done is just dragged the big black heart off of it. And then there is a layer under this red. But to save time, you could just click delete and it got rid of the red and the black. And we're left with this heart. So now I'm going to put a little bitty hole up here. And again, I'll use the slice function. And that hole will be where my hardware goes through. So for that, I'm going to click Shape. And I want a circle. And then again, I'm going to change this so that I can really see it really well on my heart to know that it's in the right place before I slice it. Now, I want this circle to be 0.1 inches. I want to put it up here. And if I would slice it right here, notice how much room there is between the hole and the top of the earring. I'm afraid that my fish hook, the loop on my fish hook, wouldn't be big enough and I would have to add a jump ring. I really prefer just having the fish hook without any jump rings. The more pieces of metal you add, the more jump rings that you add, the more swing there is in the earring, and they can become turned or flipped. And if all you have is the hook, they tend to stay facing forward better. So what I want to do is I want to move my earring down far enough so that I think I can get my hook or the loop of my fish hook through this hole without a jump ring. The way I determined where to put this on my heart was I'm looking at an old earring that I made, and the size of the hole is about equal to the amount of space above the hole. So this looks like it would work, and that's what I'm going to go with. So I'm going to select both designs and click slice again. I'll just move my earring out of the way. Now to show you there's still black under it, I'll just delete the red, and then there's the black. I'll get rid of it. Now that I have my earring exactly the way I want it, I will duplicate it. And because I want my earrings to be mirror images of each other so that both of them angle in toward my face, I'll take this one that I just created and I will flip it horizontally. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to line them up. I don't know why, I just feel better about it, so I'm going to align them on the bottom. When I sent them to cut, if I don't tell the Cricut exactly where to cut them, it would have put them both at the top and it would have been perfectly fine. But I like to tell the Cricut where to cut them so that I know exactly where to put my leather, and I can put tape all the way around it. I don't want it to be jammed up here toward the top. So now that I have my earrings ready, first of all, I'm going to attach them because I want them to cut like that. I don't want them to rearrange them so that they are cutting through the pattern in a different way than I mean them to. So I'll click attach. Now I'll click make it. I'm going to move them down so that they are a little more than an inch down from the top, a little more than an inch over from the left. That helps me know exactly where to put my leather. Click continue. Now on this screen, I'm going to click on browse all materials, type leather, genuine leather, and then done. I really need to learn how to add that to my favorites because I have to browse every single time. So now we see a reminder to move your star wheels over and to put your deep point blade in, and I'll show you that when I turn the camera around, and we'll go ahead and do that now. Now the first thing that I want to do is I want to put some just basic contact paper down under where my leather will be. That helps protect my mat. And remember, our cuts start a little less than 1 inch to the right, a little less than 1 inch down. So that's where I'm putting my contact paper. This is just white contact paper. I bought it thinking I'd use it for transfer paper, and then I realized that I really needed the transparent contact paper for that. So I used this on my mat just to get rid of it. Pull up the liner of it, and then I'll go ahead and put my pretty side, the pretty side of my leather, face down on my paper. Now this has a pattern, so I want to lay it pretty straight. Then I'll use my brayer to really help it adhere to my mat. I did wash my mat since my last earring video. Now just for a little added security, I put some Super Hold Scotch tape down. but I try to keep it away from where the cuts will actually happen. I found this leather as a remnant at Springfield Leather Company just a couple weeks ago. It was so fun because I was in there and there was a lady that I had communicated with on YouTube also in there, and she's actually the one that pointed this out to me. She was getting some to possibly make some Chiefs earrings. Okay, so I have that down real nice and firm. The other thing that I want to do before I load my material is check my deep point blade. I'm going to push the blade out so I can make sure nothing is on it from my last cut. And then my wheels are out of the way from where my leather will be. So I'm going to go ahead and load this, making sure I get it under these white, they're not really clips, but they guide it. They're plastic guides. I have accidentally not gotten it under both of those before. And you immediately have to turn your machine off to get it to stop. It doesn't go in well. Let's go ahead and load my material. And now let's see what we get. Okay, so let's go ahead and unload this. I want to talk about two things. First of all, I was busy talking and not thinking about how wide my shape was. Usually for teardrop, this might be wide enough. My tape was right where my cut was. When I have used strong grip tape on top of the leather and I had to cut through it, it has made my blade jump before, and that caused a problem. But it looks like it might have cut through this thin Scotch tape just fine. The other thing is, when you are cutting leather and it's face down, if there's any design on there that has to be facing a certain way, you have to mirror your image. Now, since my two earrings are an exact mirror image of each other, that doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and pull this up and see what we get. That's a good sign. That looks really pretty so far. So I'm going to pull my mat down and just kind of lift up with my thumb, not my thumbnail. And look how good that came out. It even left the contact paper there. I'll have to probably poke out the leather hole. Now this one had tape across it, so it's not going to pull out until I take the tape off. So I'll get the backing off of this earring. I'm sorry, the contact paper. And then when I pulled the contact paper out with my nail, the leather came right out, so that's great. Hopefully you can see that really well. And then here is the little bitty hole. And as I'm looking at that, it looks like I probably got it close enough to the top to be able to just use the fish hook. We'll see. There's my dot on the edge of it. Okay, so then this one, take the backing off of it. Then I'll use my little pokey tool here, my weeding tool, and I'm going to poke from the back so that I don't accidentally scratch the front. And that popped right out. See if you can see that. I'm not sure. There you go, right there. Okay. So these will hang like this. Now the next thing that I want to do is I want to clean them up. And so I'm just going to use my scissors. And without cutting through the front, so really at an angle, I'm just going to trim a lot of those frays off. Now I had a subscriber suggest a product to me, so I'm going to get some of that and see how that works, but I don't have it yet. So I'm just going to use my scissors. I'll fast forward through this and then we'll come back together and we'll put the hardware on these earrings. Now the other method that I use to get rid of frays is by burning them off, and I typically do that on dark leather earrings. I don't know if it'll show up on this or not, but I'm going to try it. When you do it, you want to hold your fire kind of below it and just barely lean the back of your earring into it so that you don't burn the front. So let me try that for a little bit. Okay, so if you see the back of this, you can tell around the edges it's a little bit darker. I'm just going to call that shading. So again, I'm going to cut off some with the scissors. I'll fast forward through that again. Now I'm ready to put the hardware on my earrings. I'm going to use these kind of dark gunmetal fish hooks, and I'll use my, it's called a jump ring opener or jump ring tool, but you can use them on these also. So what I want to do is figure out where the loop ends, and you have to look at it carefully, but I can see that this side is where the loop ends, so it goes around and then it ends right there. So I'll take my jump ring tool, slide it over that hook. You want to hold pretty firmly so the earring doesn't bend in the wrong place, but you slide that little slot over it and then you just twist. Okay, so not sure how well you can see that. We'll turn it in a few different directions. Okay, I think at that angle you can see that it's twisted open a little bit. So let's see. I always have to determine how it should go on based on how I want it to end up. So I move the little ball thing out of the way. And you want to be careful that you don't scratch your leather. So I think I need to open mine just a little bit further. I'm just going to use my needle nose pliers. Okay, so I opened it up substantially wider. You can probably see that. Just place my earring over it. Slide the slot back over the loop and then twist it back into place. And in this case, it's still a little twisted. I need to do a little work on it, but I did make my hole close enough to the top that it'll fit through it. But again, I need to do a little surgery on this because it's still very twisted in the wrong places. Okay, that's much better. Now my little loop isn't quite closed up in the back, so I'm going to take my needle nose pliers and just squeeze it together, being really careful that I don't all of a sudden make the opening oval instead of circular. There we go, that's closed up nicely. And I have my first earring. So again, I'll take my second one, and this time, this metal is a little harder to twist. I'm just going to use my needle nose pliers instead of my jump ring tool. And I'm going to twist it open. So I have the second loop opened, and so my earring is going to hang like this. So then I just kind of figure out the way it needs to go on. And just slip it over. I'm going to take my needle nose pliers again. For some reason the jump ring tool doesn't work really well on this metal. It's just harder to use on this metal. And so my needle nose pliers work perfectly. There we go. That closed up really, really nicely. And I have my second earring. Okay, so these earrings turned out really cute. I did not have to do the extra step of punching the holes. They punched perfectly, or they cut perfectly with my Cricut Maker. And so this is something I'll be doing a whole lot more often. So I am really glad that that subscriber asked me that, because I don't know, I was just stuck in a rut and I probably wouldn't have tried it on my own. But it worked superbly, so thank you for the question. If you liked my video or found anything in it that's helpful, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, leave them in the comment section. And if you'd like to see what I'll be working on in the future, hit the subscribe button. If you want to receive notification when I upload new content, then click on the bell. Thanks for joining me. I'm Marilyn. Bye-bye.